iDubbbz over the weekend posted a video titled "I Miss the Old iDubbbz," which is basically a direct quote from all of the people who have supported him since the 2016 YouTube era. He got famous off of his edgy sense of humor and content cops, where it was essentially the real accountability culture on YouTube, upheld by him and some other people in his circle, where you couldn't get away with hypocrisy without getting memed on. So in the case of Tana Mongeau, she tweeted at iDubbbz basically shaming him for his use of the N-word on YouTube, which used to be kind of allowed on the platform. And he went and found all of the evidence that she herself was guilty of saying the N-word many, many, many times, documented, and exposed her for her hypocrisy. He went to one of her fan meet and greets and stood next to her pretending to be a fan of hers. She didn't recognize him. And as they were about to take a picture, he threw up a thumbs up and he said, "Say N-word," like hard R N-word. And she made a story time video catastrophizing about it, making things up about it. And the content cop was disastrous for her reputation and for anyone who had a content cop made on them. It was like actually disastrous for them to be held accountable for their hypocrisy in that way. And I really enjoyed that content at the time.
His video is literally him saying to his fans, "You're bad people."
Yeah, but his video here, like, I miss the old iDubbbz. The title is outwardly mocking his own fans who say that they miss the type of content that gave him the fame that he has now and the platform
saying,
he has.
"I'm a better person than you now."
Yeah.
But I'm a better person by way of self-flagellation.
He said, "I haven't spoken candidly about my feelings on this channel. It's always been obscured by a video criticizing someone else or some kind of skit. I've changed and matured during my time here on YouTube, and I'm glad that I have." And the top comment here says, "I never would have guessed that his final content cop would be on himself."
I saw that.
So he said he had this damaging rhetoric in the past where he would rely on shock content for views. He wasn't capable or like confident in his capability to entertain without doing so.
I also want to point out, before we go any further, I want to point out that if his content is damaging, you should look squarely at the parents of the kids who are not being raised properly to be able to judge reality, fake, what's real, what's fake, and being raised properly. Yes, people can make content that might be bad, but there's stuff shown on TV every day that's not real, that's awful. And a little bit of responsibility from the families who allow their kids to watch uninterrupted YouTube or uninterrupted television all the time, which should also play a role into this. I don't like the narrative of like, I'm responsible for my audience.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's mostly teenage boys who are influenced by him. And
There's a comment. There's a comment here. It says, "I appreciate the vulnerability. I've never been a fan. As a high school teacher, I saw the impact of your videos and content like yours in real time on real kids. But I think people can grow and change." What she's saying is, you should feel good that you now feel bad.
Right.
You should feel good that you now feel bad. You're right. This is the beginning. But you can change and you can come out the other side of this. Every time I hear somebody talk like this, they sound like authoritarian shitheads who just want to just shame you into changing your perspective so that
she's a literal school mom.
You're a good person now. Now that you're more like me. Now that you see the world the way I do, you're a better person. That type of shit is fucking awful. I hate people like this.
He's soliciting that validation, though. From
It's
them.
what he wants, and he's almost worse for courting it, for wanting it.
He called his old content hurtful and damaging. He said he cultivated a culture of apathy and cruelty through his content cop videos, and he convinced himself at the time that he was doing it for the right reasons.
Which is like,
his reasons at the time are still good reasons. Like, even if you could say his content was like maybe needlessly inflammatory, it needed to be called out. That level of hypocrisy was widespread on YouTube. And Tana Mongeau did need to be humbled when she's calling people out for her own sins. Like, And now essentially she's won in this story because he backed down and apologized to her fully. And she was doing this as an adult.
Yeah. It's just...
It would have been one thing if she was just a kid who was clueless and didn't know better. But she was fully an adult doing this and needed to be called out because she had just as public of a platform as he did.
It's just like his whole apology. The first part of it, I enjoyed the first part of the apology because it seemed more sincere to me. Like, he at least seemed like he was coming from a place where he's talking about, like... I felt vulnerable. Like, he's like, I didn't feel like my content was good. I had to hurt other people to make good content because I felt inadequate. That felt real to me. Like, those were actual fears that he had. The rest of it felt like virtue signaling.
It was. Yes. Yeah. I mean, he's turned into the stereotypical leftist with the mustache and the mullet to match. Yeah. Like, he's adopted the look of every leftist male feminist out there.
He points out in the video, he goes, those videos are up there still. I'm like,
yes.
Yeah. So he delete your channel. Delete your channel.
He defended that because he thinks that he doesn't want to like hide his past or like hide the mistakes that he's made. But these videos still make money. So his justification for that, he said that the ad revenue on his apology video and on the Content Cops is going to be donated to causes that help the minority groups that he was damaging with his past content.
Prove to me that
these organizations include the National Alliance on Mental Illness and the Trans Women of Color Collective.
Videos that are making less money now, I guess, that you can write off on the taxes as an independent contractor, right? Like, also, like, prove to me they were damaging. How this singular video damaged anyone.
I think all of his fans here are rightfully saying, like, I'm not a bad person because I enjoyed your sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah, he's insulting the people who liked your content, who liked his content.
And that's what I was saying earlier. Like, the contempt for the audience isn't just coming from mainstream Hollywood anymore. Yep. It's also from YouTubers who forget where they came from and forget the people who gave them the platform that they have to be preaching right now. Like, one comment said, I'm a 34-year-old mom of 3 and I watched you for a long time. I don't think I'm a basement dweller or ever was. I don't know. I guess I just enjoyed your humor. But I can see how that can attract a lot of these people.
Yeah.
Like, he's painting his audience with a broad brush and he's like tarring and feathering them, but getting out with his hands clean in the end because the woke people have accepted him into the fold.
There is a fair argument to be made that it is at the very least good that you're able to self-reflect. You should be able to be introspective about the things that you create. That's why I thought the first part of the apology sounded real to me, right? Like, he's like, look, I was insecure. I didn't know if the content that I was making, if I could make content that people would watch without trying to harm the reputation of somebody else. There are very few people in the world that are actually, it feels to me, I should say, I shouldn't say there are, that's a blanket statement. It feels to me that these days, whether because of the culture we've created where on the internet, it's very hard to admit when you're wrong. Like, very few people want to be self-reflective. Because that can be difficult. Sure. So that's fine. But it's when you elevate it to this tone where you're almost, it's a weird type, it's almost fetishizing it.
Another really strange part of this video is that he openly admits that he doesn't have the capability to empathize. Yeah. And that he only very recently feels like he is able to have empathy for other people and claims that it's more of a skill than something you're born with. And that is not true.
Wait, say that again?
He said that empathy is more of a skill that you gain over time rather than something that you're born with. That is not true. Empathy is innate in everybody who is not a clinically diagnosed sociopath.
Yeah.
Empathy is something you're born with, and it's not a skill. And I think that actually he's
listening
just
and
adopted...
Listening and believing is something that you can
He has now, adopted this cloak of woke ideology as a substitute for empathy. Because he never had it. And that's a defect in himself. It would take more bravery to like actually realize that something is wrong with you than to point outside of yourself and say there's something wrong with everyone else. He's like essentially supplanted his lack of empathy with a new like political or like social worldview that he adopted from other people on the internet. That's not empathy.
It's also different because it's like, how does that compare to what he's like in real life, right? Like how you are on the internet is very different from how you are in person.
What does that mean for how you treat individuals in your life?
Yeah. Yep.
He's, what did he say? Like 32 years old and only recently feels like he had any capability to step in another person's shoes.
Like, is that just inherent to growing up in a life where you were busy doing your job as a content creator for a long time and you just weren't thinking that way?
I don't think so.
Like,
that's not normal. To not have empathy.
It's kind of like when people talk about like how they say there's people with no inner monologue. They just live and they don't talk innately to inherently to themselves. They don't have a discussion. I'm constantly arguing with myself in my mind, like constantly. Like my brain never shuts off. That's one of the problems for me is like, right? Like I'm going to get like a stuff done at the auto shop today. I was getting the inspection done and like, what if I'm not back in time? What is this? It's like, should I have done this? What is it? Like my brain
You're able to think of conditional statements.
My brain
what if
never
this happened?
shuts up.
Or what if this didn't happen in the past? There are some people who aren't capable of doing that.
It's
like, what if, how would you feel if you didn't eat breakfast this morning? iDubbbz, how would you feel if you didn't make content cops?
But I did.
But I did make content cops.
I get the argument to that one because that's just like, to a lot of people that's just pragmatism. Like, why would I entertain this question?
It's their idea of what pragmatism is. But I mean, he quite literally admitted that he is using woke ideology as a substitute for having empathy for other people. And this is a cloak of vulnerability. This is not real vulnerability. Vulnerability would mean like it wouldn't mean pointing the finger at everyone else. He's pointing the finger at his own audience that got him here.
Eventually he'll peak where he'll suddenly one day be like, I'm an empath. Which is the height of narcissism. Like
that's all male feminists.
Yes, I'm an empath. Like I feel more deeply than you.
I can't believe that some people are falling for this, by the way. Like some people are actually taking this apology at face value.
I thought the first part was fine. I thought the first 4 minutes were fine. It drifted off into hyperbole after 4 minutes. That's when more of the buzzwords started to come in.
For me, with the context of what's been going on with him, especially Creator Clash and like ousting Froggy Fresh from the lineup of Creator Clash and all of the fake ass reasons that he came up with for doing so, and his weird like defense of his wife doing OnlyFans and sex work and stuff like this. He's taken up these causes to seem like a good person, but I don't think that he is actually a good person.
There's a $20 one right there from Perturbed Alpaca. Thank you.
I'm still catching up. iDubbbz makes me sad now. I miss him and H3H3 and their good content. Live by content cop, die by the content cop, I guess. Yeah, H3 is another one who just totally 180'd. And back in the day, they were egging each other on. If you see, like, there's still clips accessible on the internet where they are saying the hard R N-word on YouTube.
We're just in a time now where, like, technology, those comments are going to be at your fingertips all the time. The articles are written twice as fast. The organized, like, pushback against someone when they step out of line is so fast now. You do something wrong, and there's 10 articles written about you in an hour that are all going to now be the front page of your search results, right? Like you're literally battling SEO when you're.
It's weird that was also the case in 2017.
But people weren't as connected as they are now. Now people are more connected. Like 2017, you might have had a few lingering people who didn't have their face buried in their phone all the time. Now everyone's face is buried in their phone all the time. Mm-hmm. You can't escape it anymore. It does feel terrifying to me how you can't escape it. It is like, I know that like it's a joke to somebody like Andrew Tate, it's a way to draw a real world comparison or an artistic comparison like The Matrix. But it really does feel like if you have a business, especially if you have a business and you're living online, you can't escape it. You can't get away from it. It's not something you can rightly just ignore. A lot of times, like, you can ignore the cyberbullying, like, just put your, like, they always say, like, just put your phone down. But you can't, if you're a high enough profile, you can't ignore what it's going to do to your career.
He benefited from it, though.
But now, like, the average person can't. They can't, like, or the average person can't do that the same way that they did then. The world, the landscape has changed in a lot of ways, so.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. It's just sad to remember a time on YouTube when there were dissenting voices allowed to grow and thrive on the platform, and now that is not even close to a possibility for other people.
Yeah. Also, people, like when I was saying earlier about phones and like uninterrupted YouTube time and stuff like that, they said, what about uninterrupted PCC time? I said, like, look, like, you have to be able to moderate, right? If you've got kids, you have to moderate. There was I mentioned it on,
I don't think that children should watch the show.
Well, I'm not even just talking about us, I'm saying YouTube in general, but like on Friday, I pointed out, like, on IRL, it's like one of the most ruthless memes that I saw recently says Happy Mother's Day, and it was just a picture of tablets. It's like, to all the mothers out there, it was a bunch of iPads. Like, you know?
Oh, we've got one from AirTaz00. Did 18.1 miles yesterday in 2 hours and 43 minutes. Brain went from...
Hold off. Thank you, Ian. We're happy you're back, Ian. We need you. We need your perspective on IRL. You make everything, you elevate the conversation. All you gotta do is party. And an Ian party is better than any other party, because an Ian party don't stop, I'm sure.
It don't. He said, my brain went from making up random stories to math to philosophy. It's crazy to think people don't even say things to themselves in their heads.
My brain never shuts.
That is crazy.
How do you talk? Is your inner monologue consistent, or is it like less? I guess it would be hard to know in comparison to somebody else. How often do you feel like you have that type of innate conversation with yourself?
I know I do have an inner monologue, but most of the time I'm having imaginary conversations with other people in my head. Yeah. It's like people I know or people I used to know. Like, I make up things rather than talk to myself. Like,
it's the meme of like me finally winning that argument in the shower 3 hours later.
Not necessarily even arguments, but like, yeah, I think about like future conversations that I'm going to have.
That's why you're so good
what
at
they might say.
That's why you're so good at debating and telling
not according to everyone. Yeah. Some people think I'm ruthlessly outmatched.
By destiny.
That's so stupid, because Destiny's whole debate tactic is just to talk as fast as possible with saying the least amount of information and say so many points that you can't possibly respond to all of them. Yeah. Which is intellectually dishonest sophistry.
Isn't that Vosh's tactic too?
That too, yeah.
It's like if I use enough word salad, it'll confuse you. Also, it's supposed to condition like an appeal to authority. Like, well, they used all those big words, they must know what they're talking about. Like, and as we know, language to leftists and language to people that argue against them are usually quite different. You're having a different conversation, but you're using the same words because you've both redefined the language sufficiently that you're not even talking about the same thing by the time you get there.
It was also kind of doomed from the start. You're debating about the ethics of polyamory with somebody who doesn't have the same view of what marriage is. Yeah. I wish that we had gotten more into that, but like, it's impossible to really reach common ground at that point.
Do you when you have your inner monologues and you're talking like to other people, are you imagining like what the conversation would be about? Yeah. Like just purely from a speculative perception. Like, I wonder, then do you like have that conversation and rate like how close it actually got to like what you were imagining it would be?
I don't know.
See, I realized for me, you know what it is like, as somebody who did this, is when you do a lot of drugs, not like tripping, like I'm saying, but like when you're using opiates and stuff, like it dulls that side of your brain. And like, it's like when you pointed out, we had that discussion, you said like you're highly or like you're neurotic, and I never thought of myself that way, because so many of those formative years for me, where you develop a lot of your sense of self once you get in your 20s, because it's when you start facing problems on your own, right? You don't have your parents, you don't have somebody to help you out of all these problems. And I had to spend a lot of those years, I spent a lot of those years almost in a fake sense of like calm. So I wasn't having that inner monologue. Like I realized it again when I was like recently, like driving, like just the amount of decisions that have to go into something like that. There's a lot of those years where you're just like not even questioning it. Like you're not even making decisions based on anything like that because you've been numbed to a point.
Someone said, this is Darth Doza. Spooky. I do the same, Mary. It used to be just in my head, then in my car, and recently caught myself saying it out loud. Steals Brett's hat.
No, I can't take my hat off.
Is it one of your lucky ones?
This is you can never go wrong with all black for a hat. For like it's like literally like just wear all black. That way everything matches. Like you don't have to other than browns. And even then, I'm on team like brown and black. I think you can wear brown and black together, even though they say you shouldn't.
I never wear the color brown.
You should.
I don't think it looks good on me.
Earth tones are for specific. You know, some people like if you're an earth tone person, you're usually like all in on earth tones and you wear them a lot. I'm not such
that
a person.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.